No. Yes.
Good. Dear students, I would like to discuss the topic articles today. Articles, right? This is one of the most important topics of grammar, which is essential for us to use in day-to-day communication. Right? So there are three forms of articles. There are three forms of articles. They are a and the. These are the three forms of articles, right? So these three forms of articles are divided into, right, two categories. These three forms of articles are divided into two categories. What are those two categories? One is indefinite article. One is indefinite article. And the second one is the definite article. The definite article. Right? So these three forms, the three forms of article, there are three forms of articles. They are a, and the. So these three forms are divided into two categories. One is the indefinite article, and the second one is definite article. Right? So let us discuss the uses of articles. The uses of article are discussed. Right? When do we use indefinite article, and when do we use the definite article? Right? So the indefinite articles, the most importantly, right, the most important point, the indefinite articles are used before, right, before the indefinite articles are used before singular countable nouns. This is the first point we need to remember always. Indefinite articles are used before singular countable nouns. These are used before singular countable nouns. Right? Then, so when do we use them? Right? So indefinite, as we discussed, the indefinite articles are used before singular countable nouns. Right? So here, out of these two, and is used, before the words before the words beginning with, this is very, very important. The words beginning with, before the words beginning with vowel sounds. Before the words beginning with vowel sounds, mind you. And we used to listen to classes during our school days stating that an is used before the words beginning with vowels, which is incorrect. Which is incorrect rule, right? The correct rule is that an is used before the words beginning with vowel sounds, right? For example, for example, an orange, an orange, an onion, right? An umbrella, an umbrella, right? An elephant, right? Right. So here orange is A sound and onion is A sound, umbrella is A sound, A is elephant A sound. These are vowel sounds, right? These are the words which begin with vowel sounds. That's the reason why we have used and before these words, because the words begin with vowel sounds. It's not vowel, right? So here, for example, the other one, we should say an hour. We should say an hour. Though we have a letter which is known as a consonant, but this consonant contains a vowel sound. This consonant contains vowel sound. That's the reason why we always say an hour, a sound. It's not hour, it is hour. It's hour, right? Is a vowel sound. That's the reason why the expression is an hour. Similarly, you should say an MP, an MP, an MLA, an MP, an MLA. Right here, MP, MP, right? This begins with the A sound. A sound is a vowel sound. Though the letter is a consonant letter, but this letter contains vowel sound. That's the reason why an is used before, right? MP. Similarly, an MLA, it begins with A sound, M, right? An MLA begins with the A sound. A sound is a vowel sound. Since what can I say? This word begins with the vowel sound, right? Though the letter is a consonant, but it begins with vowel sound. That's the reason why we are using the expression "and." So it is an MLA. Similarly, the other indefinite article "a" is used before the words beginning before the words beginning with consonant sounds. Before the words beginning with consonant sounds. So this is very important, right? We used to say that, right? People used to say, and we used to listen that A is used before the words beginning with the consonants. It's not consonants. It is used before the words beginning with the consonant sounds, right? Consonant sounds only, right? So don't be under impression that an is used before the words beginning with vowels and A is used before the words beginning with the consonants. It is the other way. An is used before the words beginning with the vowel sounds. Similarly, A is used before the words beginning with the consonant sounds, right? Before the consonant sounds, which is very, very important, right? I'll give you the examples for the second one. Let me clear off
అడిగాయి అంటే ఒకసారి లిస్ట్ దాంట్లో సార్ స్టేట్మెంట్లో బిల్గా ఉన్నారు యాడ్ చేసి సార్ చేసి ఏమైనా తీసేసి తీసేస్తే కొత్త
right? Right. So, for example, so I said A is used before the words beginning with the consonant sound, right? A chair, a table, a book, a pencil, a pen, etc. So each word here begins with a vowel sound, right? Cha is a vowel sound, ta in table is a vowel sound, ba in book is a vowel sound, pa in pencil is a vowel sound, again pa in pen is a vowel sound, etc. So these words begin with vowel sounds. That's the reason why A is used before consonant sounds. Similarly, don't get confused with these words. We should always say a university, a university, a European. Even though the words begin with vowels, but these vowels have a consonant sound. That's the reason why A is used before them. A 1 rupee note, a 1 rupee note, right? So these three words are very, very important, right? Because we are under impression that an is used before the vowels. So when you take that, which is a wrong rule, right? An is used before the words beginning with vowel sounds. When you take into consideration that an is used before the words beginning with vowel, then here you should use an. We should say an university, but it is wrong. An European, which is wrong. And 1 rupee note, which is wrong. Right? The rule is that an is used before the words beginning with a vowel sound. Similarly, here, the second case, A is used before the words beginning with a consonant sounds. A university, right? The first letter of university is a consonant sound U, right? University, long U sound, right? Which is a consonant sound. Similarly, in a European again, it's a long U sound, which is a consonant sound. Though the word begins with a vowel, but this vowel contains a consonant sound. Similarly, a 1 rupee note, va is a consonant sound. Though the word begins with a vowel, but that vowel contains a consonant sound. That's the reason why it is a 1 rupee note. So these are very, very important. This is the place where we get confused, right? So in examination, we come across only such kind of words because they always, what can I say, confuse us, right? So don't be under impression with the rules that were taught to us during school days, right? So you have to be very careful in using a and. I'm repeating that and is used before the words beginning with the vowel sounds. Similarly, A is used before the words beginning with the consonant sounds, right? Be careful there. These are some of the examples. Note them and practice accordingly, right? So that is how to use the indefinite article. Coming to the uses of the definite article. The uses of the definite article. What, right? So the definite article generally identifies and specifies, right? What, right? It identifies and specifies, right? So it identifies a thing that is already used. Any word, right? Already used, in the conversation. The conversation or communication, whatever it is, right? Right. And moreover, the other one is that the definite article, it answers, the question, which one? It answers the question, which one, right? It generally identifies and specifies, and it identifies a thing that is already used in the conversation or in the context of whatever it is, and it answers the question, which one, right? These are some of the characteristics of the definite article, right? For example, right? There is a dog in the room. There's a dog in the room, right? So I'm specifying that the dog is in the room, right? So that's the reason why it is not somewhere in the hall or somewhere in the somewhere on the streets or somewhere in the playground. I'm specifying that the dog is in the room only, right? So, but the dog, is on the table. But the dog is on the table, right? So in the second sentence, in the second line of the same sentence, right? I have used the definite article before the noun dog. Whereas in the first context, I did not use the definite article da before dog here. But here in the second context, I have used the definite da before the noun dog, right? Right, here it should be under the table. Da is missing here, right? Under the table, right? So I have used the definite da before dog because it identifies a thing that is already used. Dog is already used in the first context, right? And again, since we are repeating the noun in our conversation, so in that case, the definite article is used before that, because the definite article here now specifies that the noun is used second time in this context, right? So the noun dog is repeated second time in the context. That's the reason why da is used before the noun dog. So the second one, it identifies a thing that is already used, is satisfied in this particular context, right? Now it answers the question, which one? For example, I will ask you the question, which dog is under the table? You say, what do you say? When I ask you the question, which dog, right? Which dog? You said the dog, but the dog is under the table, so, right? So I'm asking the question, which dog, right? How do you answer now? Here we use the definite article to answer the questions like which one, right? Which dog? You say the dog. Which dog is under the room? I will ask you, right? You say the dog under the table, right? Which dog is the dog? Which dog is under the table? I'll ask, right? You say the dog in the room. When I ask you the question, which dog is under the table, you say the dog in the room. So now you are using the definite article here, right, to answer the question, which one, right? Which dog? When I ask you the question, which dog is under the table, you answer stating that the dog in the room. So The definite article is used. The definite article is used to write to answer the question which one, right? So that is the context where we use the definite article. And apart from that, right, the definite article is not generally used before. For example, it is not used before the proper noun. The definite article the is generally not used before the proper nouns, right? But there are some exceptions. But there are exceptions. But there are exceptions. What are they? One is the exceptions are one is names of rivers. Before the names of rivers, you can use the definite article. Generally, it is not used before the proper nouns, but there are some exceptions, and those exceptions are names of rivers. For example, you can say the Ganga, right? The Godavari, the Godavari. Similarly, the other exception is names of gulfs. You say the Persian Gulf, right? You say the Persian Gulf. Similarly, the other exception is names of bay. Names of bay. You can say the Bay of Bengal. This is an exception. These are the Bay of Bengal, right? The Bay of Bengal. The other one, then the other exception in usage of the definite article before proper noun is what can I say? Names of oceans. The Pacific Ocean. You say the Pacific Ocean. The other one, right? There are a few more. The other one, names of books. Names of books, some holy books or historical books, where you can use the definite article before them, though they are proper nouns. You can say the Bible, right? The Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, right? So these are some of the proper nouns before which we use the definite article the. Similarly, you can say even before the names of seas, the Red Sea, and so on, like that. You can use these. You can use the definite article the before the proper nouns. So these are some of the exceptions where you can use the definite article before the proper nouns, right? So these are some of the exceptions here, and also the definite article. The definite article is used before the superlative degree. Before the superlative degree. It is must, right? You need to use the definite article before the superlative degree. For example, the best, right? The highest, right? Right, etc. So it is used before the superlative degrees, right? So this is how you need to use the articles in our day-to-day communication, or when you even communicate in written part, right? So these are useful in day-to-day expressions, right? Thank you.